Hey guys, welcome to 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description. And here's what I need you to do. Make sure you subscribe to the Volumes YouTube channel to stay up to date to everything we're doing here on 3 and Out and the Volume. What is going on, everybody? John Middlekauff, 3 and Out podcast. Friday afternoon, nights like 5:55. Just press record, jotted down some thoughts. We had a moment. The NFL had a moment. Deshaun Watson has officially been traded to the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield, as of recording this, is still on the Cleveland Browns, but obviously that won't be for long. So we got a lot going on. They gave him a historic amount of money. I'll give my thoughts on the trade from both sides of the trade. And some thoughts on Belichick. I have been very, very critical, like most people, of Belichick coaches. We have to give some of his general managers some flowers because he teaches the personnel guys clearly what to do because they are wheeling and dealing in Vegas, in Tennessee. Obviously, Caserio, Jason Light's been crushing it forever in Tampa, rolling. And speaking of Vegas, I wanted to bring something up in regards to Davante and Aaron Rodgers because I've been, if you know, me and Colin are on the opposite side of Aaron and Russell. But I do think the Davante thing is a little bit of a red flag for old Mr. Rodgers. It's either one of the ballsiest trades or one of the most reckless trades we've ever seen. And let's face it, the Cleveland Browns are somewhat desperate. Their franchise has mostly been irrelevant for decades now. 2010s, they were awful. The 2000s, they were terrible. They had a moment with Baker 2 years ago, and then this year fell off the rails. They were over him. When Chris Mortensen speaks, and he says something specifically about a player and talks about maturity with Kyler Murray, with Baker Mayfield, with Carson Wentz, my educated guess, and the big J's get mad at me, I'm a source guesser. I think Chris Mortensen talks to owners and gets that information from owners. So when he basically took a dump on Baker Mayfield's character, I feel like that's coming from Jimmy Haslam. And when something comes from the boss, you have to go, well, Baker's time in Cleveland is over. And when he sent out that message earlier last week, right, Monday or Tuesday or whenever he did, it was pretty clear he knows it's over. He was trying to get ahead of it. But then the Deshaun Watson camp, let's call a spade a spade. The reason Deshaun Watson is in Cleveland is because of one word and one word only: money. They paid him $230 million guaranteed. It's the biggest contract in the history of the NFL when it comes to guaranteed dollars. Mahomes, $450 million. All these contracts, they're all fake money. I say it all the time. I don't care what you average per year. Davante Adams averages $28 million per year. They gave him $67 million guaranteed. 67. Like Matt Stafford. He got $135 million guaranteed in the contract that he signed this weekend. Deshaun Watson got $230 million, every single penny guaranteed. And the way the NFL works, the owner has to have that money on hand within a couple weeks and put it into an escrow account. This isn't the NBA. This isn't Trevor Story gets $140 million from the Red Sox. You pay him over the 6-7 years, the life of the deal. Chris Bryant, 8 years, 180, whatever the Rockies. They pay that over the years. In the NFL, whatever the true guaranteed dollars are, you put that in an escrow account. So the Raiders, when they signed Davante to that contract, had to have $67 million. They paid $230 million, and I say it all the time. In these cases, I don't assume guilt. I don't assume innocence. I have no clue. It is a he said, she said. I know what I've heard from my friends in the NFL. Obviously, we all form opinions. It's pretty clear that he was having sex with these women. Now, having sex is not a crime, right? It's something we all do. And if we're not doing it, we're trying to do it. We're all humans. It makes the world go round. And it's fun. Let's be real. But in this case, he has 22 pending civil cases against him. That ain't nothing last time I checked. That's a problem for him. In America, you are innocent until proven guilty. But in these situations, When we're talking about this much money, it usually gives guys pause. I talked to a team that you would say, why aren't they interested? And the people that were associated with that team is like, we're just not fucking around with that. It's not worth the risk. Because he is on the Browns now. They owe him this money. Now, maybe if he goes to jail, whatever, there's an out. But if something comes out with these civil cases and they're not able to go away, that's on the Browns. That is no longer the Texans' problem. And they're in 3 first-round picks, $230 million for something they can feel comfortable, but there's no way to truly know, because the only people that truly are able to know are him and her. And there's 22 of hers. So to me, it just felt the entire time, I'm uncomfortable with that. And if you've listened to me long enough, I ain't no moral high horse guy. I ain't pounding the table. But this is pretty black and white to me. Until this is gone, I don't know if I wouldn't have been able to make this move. And it's clearly not gone yet. Now, maybe inevitably it goes away. But what if it goes away by him paying them? And they've been adamant they're not going to pay him. So the women are just going to drop the cases? To me, it seems very, very crazy. And it reflects the Cleveland Browns, a franchise that's desperate. No one else, let alone in the NFL, on God's green earth. David Tepper, who paid $2-something billion in cash for his franchise, told Mulgeta, his agent, and Deshaun, I'm not guaranteeing the 3rd and 4th year of your existing contract, let alone ripping up your contract and giving you a new one. And you know what I'd say to Dave Tepper? That's good business. Because he's one of the greatest stock traders of all time. Anyone will tell you at that level, like, it ain't about emotion. You got to be able to take deep breaths. To me, it was all emotion with Cleveland, all desperation. And I know they came out with their statements like, we feel comfortable. I don't know how they possibly could. Not to 100%. And everything we do in life, any acquisition, any business, merger, there's always risk. To me, this is above and beyond the risk, right? There's risk in the Rams signing Matt Stafford. He's 33, 34 years old. Or the Broncos trading for Russell Wilson. Older player, mid-30s, could get hurt. You're going to pay him a lot of money. There's risk in every transaction, in the NFL or in society. Shit, you buy a home, you found out the inspection missed something, all of a sudden you got a termite problem. This one, though, you had the information. The only reason he's on the Browns, the only reason he accepted to go there is because of the money. This was a complete money grab for a guy who is, let's face it, is in a lot of trouble. But the money grab exceeded the normal amount of money that guys are getting paid. Josh Allen, elite player, great guy, never been in any trouble, was drafted by the team that was ultimately going to pay him, got $150 million. Yet somehow Deshaun Watson, who didn't fucking play a snap last year, got $230 million. Like, it's kind of crazy. But again, this is the Cleveland Browns. This is what crazy franchises do. You can't convince me that their general manager, who is an Ivy League analytical guy, was totally, to me, this feels all owner. Because Chris Mortensen's comments on Baker felt the owner. This move feels the owner. Now, obviously, he has to sign off on the amount of money because it's his cash. This is Jimmy Haslam. This is the guy that robbed the truckers, who now has a quarterback who, let's also face it, is going to get suspended. Even if he's completely innocent and these charges go away, he has dragged the shield through the mud now for a year. Him getting in relationships with these massage therapists was a poor decision because it led to the situation he's in, assuming he's completely innocent because of how public the situation, and cost him a year of football. And then the contract that they did with Deshaun Watson, they're paying this guy $230 million. $229 million of those dollars come after this season. So they're basically admitting we're acquiring a guy who's going to get suspended. We know that. So think about this. The biggest acquisition in NFL history, the biggest contract in NFL, when I say acquisition, I mean the 3 first-round picks. I guess the Niners did that, but the Niners actually got to use one of the first-round picks. They're losing 3 first-round picks. And the biggest contract in NFL history, guaranteed dollar-wise. And now he's going to get suspended? And I think the way they did this, $1 million, part of when Brady got Deflategate, you missed the money. Calvin Ridley, suspended for a year, misses $11 million. They finagled the money, so the NFL, It's like you're going to ground me, but whatever. I'm not missing any parties because you're grounding me on like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You're still giving me the weekend. That ain't how it's going to work here. To me, this was like an FU to the league office. Like, go ahead, suspend him. You're not going to lose any money. To me, this might even force the league office, like, okay, we just gave Calvin Ridley, which I thought was a justified suspension, a year for placing some bets, some parlays. $3,600 worth of parlays. Got a year. A year. Didn't break any laws, didn't do anything wrong beside, like, the league tells you not to do that. Would it shock you if they gave Deshaun Watson a year as like an FU? Like, this ain't going to fly on our watch. You're not allowed to just drag the NFL, who I say it all the time, is full of great guys. I mean, people you build you want it your neighbors, you want as your friends, high-level guys. The league is not full of the guys that get in trouble. Those guys are outliers. The league is full of high-level good people. So you let some of these people that get in trouble or have these situations with the law, they are dragging down the 98% of everyone doing it the right way. So, listen, 17 games, most of you probably listen like, that seems kind of crazy. I don't know. Roger does some crazy shit. And it's once they did the $1 million, like, screw you. I mean, you're not able, you're trying to get a workaround. If I'm another team in the league, I'm telling the league, like, this is bullshit. My players get suspended. Like, they're able to avoid all this? This is crazy. It almost feels like Cleveland thinks they're out-thinking everybody. And I think he's going to get in trouble. I'm not talking about with the law. I'm talking about with the league. And we've seen it before. Guys that did not get in trouble legally got suspended. So maybe that's 8 games, maybe that's 10 games, maybe that's 6 games, but he's getting popped. And the moment he does, let's speak about from the Texans side, what a deal from Nick Caserio. This is a player who did not play a snap last season, who said before these cases came out, I'm never playing another snap for this franchise. I'm done. It's over. Then he gets in trouble, and then obviously he didn't play a snap all season. He was never going to be a Houston Texan ever again. And 2 days, now coming in Monday, tomorrow to work, Caserio has the 3rd pick, the 13th pick, 2 first-round picks each of the next year. And here's the other thing about the 2023 first-round pick. Well, if Deshaun Watson, let's just pick a number, gets suspended 10 games next year, he will be coming back in the middle of November, having missed a season, having missed 27 straight football games. They signed Jacoby Brissett. Is there a chance next year the Cleveland Browns win 7 games? So all of a sudden you get pick 13 and then pick 16. Where when you trade Matt Stafford, like the Lions, ask the Lions what it's like trading a guy that gets to play all 17 games. Pick 32. And that's obviously high end, but like Seattle. What are they going to get from Denver? If I had to guess right now, pick 24, pick 26, something after 22, somewhere in that range. Well, I think if you're Caserio, you actually feel great about the 13th pick. There's a lot of value there. So I didn't just get a random. When you hear first-round picks, they ain't all equals. I said it when the Seattle got the 9th pick for Russell Wilson from Denver. That's a good pick. Because when the Detroit Lions and the Miami Dolphins traded Trey Lance and Matt Stafford, they were thinking they got a first-round pick, and it ended up being pick 29 and 32. That has nothing in common with pick 9 or pick 13. You could not trade the 13th overall pick that Caserio just got for what the Lions and the Dolphins got in their trades. You couldn't do it. Pick 29 and 32, Caserio would hang up on you. He would not give you the 13th pick when it comes to the trade value. So I thought Caserio, a guy that was never going to play another snap, that they just wanted to get out of the building anyway, it's irrelevant. And I said this when I didn't understand when Gutekunst didn't get enough for Davante Adams. And everyone's like, well, the Raiders had to sign him this big contract. That is not Gutekunst's problem. The contract that the Cleveland Browns are going to sign Deshaun Watson to is not Caserio's problem. That's it. That's their issue. I have the asset. So if you want to get the asset, and I can say no. The Texans had some leverage. And here's where Caserio deserves credit. He was very patient. He didn't rush this thing. He waited, and ultimately he got a haul. For a guy that has 22 civil cases pending. Like, that's pretty nuts. He shipped him out for the 13th pick, and a pick, I would guess, depending on how long the suspension is, like, there's a pretty good chance that the Browns are not in the playoffs. If he misses over half the season, that'll be, 25 plus games this guy has not been on an NFL field. You don't get better by not playing. I don't give a shit how many workouts you're doing in some grass field with some quarterback coach. That ain't the NFL. Not even close. So here's what I know about Deshaun Watson over the last year. He got worse at football simply because he was not playing. There is no way you can stay the same by sitting on the sideline. That's not how it works. It's just not. You don't get to practice. You don't get to do anything. Now, he can get that back. I'm not acting like he's not a good player, but he's just, I can't just expect him to hit the ground running, be a Pro Bowler, eight games, the final 8 games of the Cleveland Browns season. That's not how the world works. Not the highest level of any industry, especially the pressure that's going to be around him. Can you imagine the hoopla whenever they introduce him? It's going to be crazy. So props to the Texans and props to the Belichick general managers, because I, like many, question a lot of the coaches, right? Joe Judge never should have been head coach. He was over his head. He doesn't know either side of the ball. He's a special teams coach, and he was overwhelmed. New York ate him and spit him out. Patricia's a joke. Flores is actually a good coach, but, I mean, I heard so many stories coming out of the combine, people talking to different people from Miami, like he didn't treat people well, and didn't treat people well at all. Not many people in Miami like the guy, but he could coach. And now he's with Tomlin, and I would imagine if he can work on some of the personality stuff, he'll be a head coach again pretty quickly. But their coaching staff, like his history of it, is not great. Bill O'Brien, by far, is the best coach they've ever had come out. And he's not truly a Belichick guy. He had coached a lot of other places. The Manginis, the Josh McDaniels, the Patricias, the Flores, their entire career coaching was with Belichick. We got to give their GM some credit, because they are wheeling and dealing. They are out thinking everybody. Ziegler just got Davante Adams for a first and a second round pick. He's a top 10 non-quarterback in the NFL. Everyone's like, he's 29. His game ain't predicated on speed. He could have 5-6 more years playing at this level. It's like, will he get hurt? Anyone get hurt. Matt Stafford get hurt tomorrow. Lamar Jackson get hurt. All these guys, Josh Allen, Mahomes. It's the NFL. It's football. You saw the guy at Michigan. He got hurt in a pro day. You get hurt, you know? I mean, it's nothing you can do. Just keep your fingers crossed. But here's what I know. Ziegler, Caserio, look at John Robinson in Tennessee. Takes a flyer, not a flyer, it was aggressive to get Julio Jones. It does not work out. Immediately cuts him. Well, it's like, they need a receiver. What does he do? He trades a 5th-round pick, maybe it was a 6th-round pick, for Bobby Trees, Robert Woods. Now he's coming off an ACL, but Robert Woods, he'll be healthy when the season starts, is a stud. Like, he just can pivot fast. Look at Jason Light, always wheeling and dealing. These general managers that Belichick's producing, guys that have studied under him, they're excelling. Now, the Quinn, Patricia, that was a joke. That combination, that was an embarrassment. But when it comes to John Robinson, when it comes to Jason Light, what Ziegler and Josh are operating down in Vegas, I mean, it's a high-level operation. And what Caserio just got, and listen, Caserio's taking a lot of shit, right, with the coaching stuff, and I even question it, because I watched Nick's press conference this weekend. Nick's clearly a really, really sharp guy. I thought his press conference, he's really impressive. But as a general manager, your success is the coach. Like, you can only do so much as a personnel guy. You need your coach to be sweet. The reason he has all those rings is because Belichick was the coach when he was in New England. So you get Lovie Smith. I do question that. But they have a ton of ammo to get sweet players. They had a good draft last year. They didn't have a 1st, 2nd round pick. Now they got a ton of picks. Like, all of a sudden you get Kyle Hamilton and Garrett Wilson. You start cooking with gas, you know? And, Jason Light, like, let's face it. Tom Brady and Bruce Arians don't feel like they're on the best of terms. But Tom Brady and Jason Light are very, very close. They have a fantastic relationship. What Ziegler has done, I'm blown away. How quickly they just Davante Adams, Chandler Jones. That was really, really impressive. Now, none of this stuff, besides Tampa I know is going to win. And Tennessee I know is going to be a playoff team. Obviously, the Raiders still have a long way to go, and the Texans have the longest way to go. But I trust all those GMs. Ziegler's done it. He's only been on the job for a while. But these guys, they take pretty good notes when they're – and the difference is, like, as a coach, as a general manager, you can just kind of be yourself. You're not – the team doesn't dictate it off your relationship with them. So you don't always have to be an a-hole. So if you're not an a-hole, you don't have to be one. If you're an intense guy, you can be an intense guy. But just be true to yourself. And I think that these guys are making good moves. And then last but not least, You guys, if you've listened to me in the last month, know where I stand on the Rodgers and Russell Wilson thing. I know Colin keeps saying Russell's all about winning and Rodgers is not. And I think I do believe that Russell really cares about winning, but I also think he's a little cheesy with doing it. But there's nothing wrong with that. He's not a bad guy. He's just a little cheesy for my taste. But I will say this about Aaron Rodgers. Davante Adams wanted out of Green Bay. I know that for a fact. He was over it. Now, part of it is he has this unique relationship with the quarterback in Green Bay. And whether he thinks, and I've been told I think he thinks that he can have the same production with Derek. Aaron is dramatically better than Derek Carr. We all know that. Aaron's one of the top 6-7 quarterbacks of all time. But you tell me this. Because ultimately when we talk about Aaron Rodgers, he's in a group of, just in terms of talents, right? If he's a top 6 or 7 quarterback, well, who are the other 6-7 quarterbacks? Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Dan Marino, John Elway, Peyton Manning. Who in their right mind, because it's well-sourced, Green Bay Packers were willing to give him the same amount of money to stay in Green Bay. He did not want it. He told them he was over them. So, and I said under my dead body, could I trade Davante? They knew he was over it. Isn't that kind of a reflection of Aaron Rodgers? And you can know, I'm not some Aaron Rodgers hater. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. Him saying, like, I'm over Aaron. Who would ever say that to Tom Brady or Peyton Manning in their prime? Those guys lost some players, but it was because they chose to let them leave, not because anyone ever wanted to leave those guys. They knew where their bread was buttered. You don't ever want to leave an all-time great quarterback. No one does. If the money's all the same, you stay with the great guy because you get to keep being great and you go right to the Hall of Fame. And Davante's like, I'm good, man. Now, there are more factors. It's little town Green Bay, but I think Davante like that. He's a low-key guy. Davante's not some James Harden going to clubs all the time. So it's the first time that I went, that's a little on Rodgers. It's a little on the front office too. You waited too long to figure this out, but maybe Davante had been over it the whole time. But I know for a fact he was over it in the last month. I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I don't want to be here anymore. And to me, that is a reflection, as much as it is of your franchise operation, Gutekunst and LaFleur, as Aaron Rodgers, because he's every bit as synonymous with the Packers as any one of those guys, if not more. So it's the first time when I went, not a great sign. Not a great sign. Now, I'm sure we'll see more information whenever Rodgers talks after he signs his contract. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. A lot of people keep asking, like, what was his relationship? Like, is he pissed off now? I don't know him, but not a great sign. Thanks for watching 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description, and make sure you subscribe right now to the Volumes YouTube channel.